And in terms of what are the non-negotiables for 2E learners, what needs to be in place for them? And first of all, the most important thing is that the content needs to be at their level of intellectual engagement. So for some gifted students, their content may need to be compacted, where they're only needing to be learning the level that they're at, as opposed to reviewing or, you know, working at a level that's below where they're cognitively able to engage. So intellectually challenging material that's meaningful and has life application, that's very important for students who are gifted. And that may not be across all classes. That might be only in humanities, or only in humanities and social studies, or only in English and science and history, but not math, or vice versa, maybe compacting in math and science. So it's very important to look at what a student is coming in with. There needs to be a pre-assessment to determine what level that student could be at. So intellectually, the non-negotiable is making sure that the content is at the level of intellectual ability for that child. A second non-negotiable is looking at the environment where there can be physical movement. So can the student have an assigned seat? Can the student have another assigned place in the classroom where their movement won't be distracting to others, and where they don't have to interrupt lesson to ask the teacher to move there? So can there be two spots in the classroom? So for elementary school students, that might be their seat at a desk and a place on the carpet. And then for middle school students, that might be a hard space like their desk, or it could be another location in the classroom, maybe the reading center, or at a window, or near the door, or outside in the hall. So these can be pre-arranged agreements between the student and the teacher that can be based on their respectful understanding of each other. And the teacher who understands twice exceptional needs would have a sense of what's needed physically in the environment for that student to learn. So I've mentioned intellectual, I've mentioned physical. Another environment that we look at is creativity. Does the student have choice? Can the student choose among two approaches, or two projects, or two content areas, or two resources, or two books? So when a student has choice, there's greater autonomy, there's greater buy-in. And that's very important for students who are twice exceptional, because they tend to like to do things their own way. They can be very creative thinkers. They like to take reasonable risks, and they can be open in getting teachers' feedback if that risk is reasonable. Sometimes gifted kids make very complex ideas, and that's not going to be doable within the time frame that the teacher's thinking about. So this is a wonderful opportunity to talk about executive functioning skills in terms of creativity and student engagement and motivation. Another environment that we need to look at that's non-negotiable is the student's emotional well-being. So does the student feel that the teachers and the parents respect their learning profile, which can be complex, as we've mentioned. Mm-hmm. So can the student feel safe in the classroom because they know the teacher or the parents have got their back and can support them? If students feel safe and they feel that the teacher respects them as learners, and if students feel like they are recognized for what they bring as an expert to the class without being a threat for their giftedness, then that student can take more risks. That student can try new things. That student can have a voice and know that their voice can be heard. And even if they're speaking at a time that's not the right time, or they're speaking and it's not the right way, they're open to the feedback that the adult, the teacher, or the parents can give. And so emotional well-being is really important. And that means knowing how and when to talk with a teacher, or how and when to talk with a school counselor, or how and when to talk with someone about their academic interests, and really ask questions and really feel like they're learning from a mentor or from an expert that they have the time to really delve into. And this may not be during class time. It may be during a break. It may be an invitation after school, or it may be on a field trip. So the last arena I think we need to talk about is social. And how so much of learning is social. There's nothing that can take place in a classroom that doesn't require an interaction with a peer or with the teacher. So when so much learning is social, we have to pay attention to which of the peers that student is comfortable working with. And sometimes it helps for students to know what their role is. Is their role to bring the facts and to be the expert and the research? Is their role to be the note taker and gather information from different perspectives? Is their role to be the timekeeper and to move the group along so that that group that they're working in can meet the deadline. So depending on students' roles, when they're clearly defined, they're more likely to engage with peers when they're learning. Otherwise, they may tend to wish to work independently because socializing is hard work. So being in a group with peers who are interested, who share ideas, who have like-minded interests is ideal in a classroom. And so when you look at each of these different areas, what's not negotiable for these students to feel comfortable learning and to find joy in learning. And I think that if we talk with some parents about kids who aren't enjoying learning and aren't enjoying being in the classroom, these can be very minor changes that teachers can be a part of and parents can be a part of at home that support a child and can really make a difference for the rest of the semester. And then think about the rest of the school year and think about who that child's going to become applying to college if that's the choice. And then think about where that child will be making money in the workforce. So what we're thinking about isn't just where the student is currently, but also where that student is developing towards.